Hi, George Hepworth here, Grover Park Consulting. Let's build Mike's mobile library. Today is a good day to pause in our project to recreate Mike's mobile library application as a development version by copying objects from the production version and explaining to you as I copy each object and place it into the development copy and set it up why and how I'm doing it that way. If the easy way to create a development copy would be simply to use the option File, Save As, under a new name, and be done with it. However, I decided that what I want to do is step through the process by copying the existing screens from the production version into the development version. And as I do so, explain each of the objects on that screen, why I put it there the way I did, how the code works in each of those objects. For example, how the data is populated into a gallery, how I filter, how I select for further editing, and so on. That way you get a chance to see a little bit behind the scenes of what goes into making up a PowerApps application. As I was thinking about it, it seemed to me that perhaps it would be a good idea to elaborate on one of the things that I briefly showed you in the previous session, and that is inserting the blank screens to serve as the placeholders for each of our screens coming from the production version. For example, we have a publication screen, and I simply inserted a blank screen to do that. I wanted to point out that there are several other types of screens that we can insert. These are templates of commonly used screens that you might want to incorporate into any PowerApps application. A blank screen is the simplest, obviously, but you can create a screen that has a scrollable surface. You can use a default, not a default, but a template that sets up a browse items using a gallery, a success screen. Tutorials, you can pull email from the Office 365 Outlook account associated with the PowerApps environment, connect email to that and use it as a way to facilitate email from within your PowerApps application. You can list people in the organization, you can use that to set up a meeting, create a calendar, and so on. And then there are some other generic layouts, the split screen, sidebar, header, main section, and footer, and so on. In other words, there are a variety of built-in templates for screens that you could use in addition to the basic one that I used, which is simply the blank. My reason for picking the blank, again, to reiterate, is simply to have a placeholder onto which I could drop the objects from the production version of that same screen and then explain to you how those objects were designed. If you were to use one of the other templates, you would get a different set of default controls tailored to that particular function. For example, if we were to create an email screen, PowerApps would insert that screen, that template, and by default connect it up to the Outlook account in this Office 365 environment. If I run this screen and type in G, it's going to look into my Outlook account and find the two email accounts that I have set up and attached to my Office 365 account. The one for the SharePoint and then my Hotmail account. That happens automatically out of the box by default. I'm going to delete this screen because I don't want to use it here. There is a second kind of template, and I will quickly show you this. We'll get into this more in depth when we get back into the process of copying production into development. But for example, galleries, we can insert either a vertical or a horizontal and other types of galleries. So as I'm showing you the ones that I selected for use in this particular PowerApps application, don't lose sight of the fact that there are other options tailored for other situations which may be more appropriate or less appropriate to what you want to do. Keep an open mind as you work and continually explore the possibilities so that when you create your own PowerApps applications, you've taken advantage of all the powerful and wide-ranging set of tools available to you. So on that note, I'm going to wrap up this little transitional segment, and in our next segment, we'll go back to work setting up the development version of Mike's mobile library by copying objects from the production into the development environment. And as I place those objects onto the screens, I'll explain in more detail each of those specific items in turn. I hope you like what you see. If you do, hit the like button. Also, subscribe to my channel so you'll be able to come back and find future installments. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.